Okay, so 50% is our goal in the next couple years. 85% of the packaging, though, is recycled cans and recycled plastic. So when we take those bottles back to the distribution centers and to the production facilities, they recycle them, and then they cut them down, and then they put them back into the bottle. So this bottle is probably, well, I'll tell you about this bottle here in a moment. How do you reach that 50%? A lot of it, and you're going to see some slides coming up, but I'll get ahead of myself here. It's education to our customers, because our customers haven't 100% embraced it. So I could tell you, the lodge here, you see recycling bins all over the place. It's getting that message out. You'll see some slides here, but it's going to every one of our major customers, our malls that we have, our theaters, and getting them to put up those bins. And that's how we're going to get that to 50%, and then eventually 100%. Did that answer? Okay. So packaging efficiency. In 2010, we avoided the use of 100 million pounds of primary packaging. So what does that mean? I took the cap off here, and probably nobody has probably noticed the difference. And maybe you have, but this cap used to be almost double the length of that. So just by cutting that down, cutting it down to where it is now, that's part of that 100 million. It's simple things like that. That is how we're working to get that, continue to reduce that amount. Coca-Cola contributes hundreds of millions of dollars to collect, recover beverage packages. We established the Coca-Cola Recycling Company, which is in North Carolina. And I have a picture up there of a baler. We had a baler project, it was called Baler 100 2 years ago. And we put balers in all our distribution centers. So what we used to take and throw to landfills, meaning cardboard, meaning plastic, meaning wood chips, meaning hard plastic, we now recycle and put it in a baler and send it to our distribution center. So it does a couple things. Takes it out of the landfills, and I have two really great examples. Both facilities, the Greensburg facility, 3 years ago had a refuge cost of about $11,000. Now our cost on refuge was $800. So saved about $11,000 roughly there. Pardon me? Oh, okay. Our Evansburg facility is, I can honestly say it's 100% recyclable, almost down to where now any food scraps that people use for their lunches and stuff, we got to get a compost, and once we get that up, we'll be 100% recycled. They took their cost from about $10,000 a couple years ago down to, I believe it was $200. So we're recycling everything. We've got big gaylords that we put cardboard, styrofoam. I mean, you name it. This guy is the recycled Gestapo, because if there's a plastic bottle in a garbage can, he's pulling it out and shaking it in that person's face. So it's an attitude. That's all recycling is. It's an attitude. You're laughing, but you probably have a Gestapo like that too, right? There it is, right there. There she is. Yes. Right.
I'm just wondering, maybe some more creative today, cost education is a big part of it, making sure that people understand the need for recycling. But what incentives do you have, or is there any type of program or any type of protections, some type of incentive to motivate people to recycling process?
Well, I think I just gave you an example of cutting your cost, taking it from a refuge, taking it to a landfill in the cost savings there. So that's one. It's economical. It's putting that $10,000 back on our bottom line, and it's not putting it necessarily on the bottom line as a company, because we have different programs in place within the Coca-Cola company. We're reinvesting it back into the business. It's not necessarily putting in. So it's technology for the sales side of the business, so that they can have at the moment information at their customer's hand when they're talking to them about what their sales have been over the last couple of weeks. So it's reinvesting that cost that was a cost that went to a landfill that you got nothing out of, to reinvesting it back into your business. I don't know if that answered the question. I mean, I can only tell you what we do locally. That's a great question that maybe we can have Deanne, who's my public affairs person. I'm not going to have you address it, but maybe we could take that question back and get that answer back to you. Okay. How many billion bottles? I'm sure it is. I don't have that. That's a great question. I can get back. I don't know. I mean, I could tell you how many I did in my particular DCs, but that's a great, yeah.
Question. All these little mini bottles that we see now,
Mhm.
don't they really take like more time, more effort, more, labeling? Don't they increase rather than decrease?
Not for the production lines, as far as the efficiency of the production lines, because all they do is they change the bottle, and then so they can run, let's say Classic Coke, obviously our number one seller. They can take that and run that line of the 12.5 ounce, and then they can run that line of the 14 ounce, and then they can run the line of the 16 ounce, and still using that same product. That's typically what they do, and move it over. And they are, and that's a great. We want to provide choices for our consumers, and that's why we're coming out with so many different package types, because we understand the complexities of some of the issues, some of the social issues out there, and so it's important that we can provide, whether it's a carbonated beverage, whether it's a non-carbonated beverage, whether it's a juice or a vitamin water or something like that. We provide choices. And we not only in different brands, but in packages. So that's the reason for that. Here's that one side I was talking about as far as placing the bins. It's consumer awareness. It's getting the consumer. It's actually not necessarily the consumer, because I think the consumer's doing it because they have recycling programs in their neighborhoods. I mean, I know I have a bin at home, and I put up cardboard because I only get one bin. I put up cardboard things so I can fill that thing up because it's only 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. But it's getting our customers, that mall, that shopping center, that movie theater, to get them to do that awareness. So placing 150 of these bins. Target 100 is for our production facilities, and that's getting our facilities to be 100% waste-free, redirecting everything from, again, and the main thing is table scraps at that point, where people bring in banana peels and stuff like that, creating a compost. But our goal of all our facilities is to be 100%, and right now we're at 94%. And these are our production facilities, so that's huge. And then we've got breakthrough technologies. I talked about the recycling plant we have in North Carolina, where we're breaking down these bottles and we're putting them back into the bottles we have. So let me see, I think the next thing is the plant bottle. Plant bottle, you guys have probably, you gals have probably seen the plant bottle. Maybe you haven't. I will tell you that this is cutting technology right now. So launched 10 billion to 20 different countries, helped save the equivalent annual emissions of greater than 100 million metric tons. It's made, 30% of it is made out of plant byproduct, basically the product that goes into the bottle. Okay, and I will also tell you that we are now at one point, one of our packages, Odwalla, which is part of the Coca-Cola company. There's probably brands you don't even know are the Coca-Cola company. Odwalla has a 100% plant bottle. So the technology is fairly new within the last 2 years. And I can tell you we are now in California testing having carbonated beverages in this bottle, in a smaller bottle, just to see where it's at, because the breakdown is a lot quicker of the bottle because it's made out of plant sources. So, in past you wouldn't be able to crush this up. So I always take my bottles and I'll crush them up, and then I'll put the cap back on it so that I can compress it so that I have less in my. But I mean, you couldn't do that to a normal bottle before. So that's. And then there's some issues there with some of the, once you get stacking, you can only stack it so much, and pretty soon all the bottles are compressed. And so that's a huge differential with our customers. Energy efficiency and climate protection. Our commitment to reducing costs and minimizing our environmental impact. I got a picture up there, right there, of one of our warehouses. 3 years ago, we put in motion sensor lighting in all our warehouses, so that if there's a part of the warehouse that someone's not working, it's totally dark. That has saved a substantial amount of money. So there's an incentive there. The cost going into it is expensive, but I can tell you the cost coming out is even more. Plus, cuts down on emissions. So part of that whole carbon footprint that as a company we're in the process of really getting a handle on and measuring every facility that we operate, getting our carbon footprint and what we are doing to Mother Earth. So and trying to give back. I think part of it, Lutron and then Gannett. I think we use Gannett's doing our carbon footprint, I believe, for that. But I don't have those numbers, so please don't challenge me on that because I don't have it. But I know. I mean, it's working because I can tell you our energy bill has substantially decreased. And there's another reason. I'll get to that. So carbon emissions and reduction is another big. The three icons for that: manufacturing, fleet, and then the sales equipment. So our new coolers that are out in the marketplace now, 50% more efficient. They turn off when the customers aren't there, which is a good thing. You know, why have them running, or they run at a lower energy output. The lights are off if a customer hasn't opened the door after a certain amount of time. So things like that. HFC reduction, hydrofluoride carbons, carbons eliminates climate change. Manufacturing, state-of-the-art in a lot of our newer production facilities, mostly out on the West Coast, with the solar panels, 70,000 kilowatt hours of energy first cost. I also have a picture in there of tow motors. We went from propane tow motors 3 years ago to electric tow motors, and I can tell you that saved $40,000 in propane costs. Electric went up minuscule, maybe $5,000, if that. We didn't even notice it. So you talk about a savings right there. Plus, all that carbon dioxide, we stopped that too. So that was a huge game player for us. Fuel cell technology, working with the Bloom Energy partner manufacturing fuel cells. Fleet transportation, we now have over 600 hybrid trucks on the road. The largest fleet of its kind in North America, run quieter and more efficient, 30% less fuel and emissions. So that's who we are. That's what we do. We still have a lot to do, but I was going to start this. I was going to start out with this particular. But every year, Barron's comes out with their magazine of the most recognizable companies in the world. And let's see if you can answer this one. It could be UPS too. 11 years running, who is the number one recognizable company symbol in the world? I'll tell you if you guess it.
What's our prize?
It's Coca-Cola, and it's so we know being that most recognizable company, we have to lead the charge in this, and we have. So I thank you for your time and attention. I took about 25 minutes, but we got started 25 minutes late too. So thank you.
Lowell, thank you.